This woman who's 33, she says, worried I ruined a good thing. Hi all, I have been with my boyfriend who's 29 for about a month and a half. I'm divorced and this is the first guy I've really had feelings for in almost 2 years. We just defined the relationship last week. Yeah, so what's that, 5 weeks? Maybe that's a little soon, but it can kind of pass. Usually you'll see about 7-week mark if he's doing everything right, that the two of them want to be exclusive or she wants to be exclusive with him. But it can kind of pass probably with that 5-week range. Let's continue. My marriage was filled with infidelity on his part, and I've struggled for the last week or so with some anxious attachment issues as a result. Yeah, oftentimes what we do is we bring our past pains of relationships to our next relationship. In her context, it's like she's waited 2 years though. And so sometimes that time can help. Sometimes it helps with the healing process, but still, I mean, you're looking at this post and what she's saying she still has those feelings. I mean, it takes a long time to get over that. And sometimes we just kind of have to live with it, and then, man, it's going to be tough, but sometimes allowing ourselves to be vulnerable is one of the most important things we can do in order to heal. And so often we basically put a guard up, and that's kind of what I was referring to, bringing our pains of our past relationships to the current ones we're in, is that we come to the current one with our fists up, basically guarding ourselves, and that really comes from a place of fear of getting hurt again. And it's a natural human tendency, but it's just one that we must be aware of in order to kind of allow the good to come into us as well. Because it's like if we're guarded against the pain, we're also guarding against the enjoyment and the happiness and that we experience as well. I recognize that this is on me to work through, and I'm conscious to not make my boyfriend pay for my ex-husband's mistakes. Yeah, but unfortunately, sometimes what we fear, we attract. And that's because it's like, well, that's what our focus is on. Last night, I had a guy I dated briefly reach out and ask if I'd want to go on a date. I was up front and told him thank you, but I'm in a relationship and very happy. I share this information with my boyfriend. Awesome. That's a great sign of loyalty, really. And if he doesn't interpret that, as her being loyal, then that's really on him, and that's a mistake by him, because that's really what your intent is. Usually women bring up other guys for usually 2 different reasons. One, to be loyal, like in her case, when something happens, when she gets asked out, and then she brings it up to her boyfriend. But also the other context is when she brings up another guy, because it's like she's telling him, hey, you're not basically acting in a way that's strong or masculine, or you're not acting in a way that makes me feel good when I'm around you. And basically I'm using this other guy to basically hint at you that you have to step your game up, because otherwise, like, I can find somebody else. But they'll do it discreetly, usually indirectly. But those are usually the 2 main reasons why a woman brings up another guy to you. And if he reacts in a way that's jealous, angry, upset that you brought this up, either way, it's going to make her feel unsafe, and she's going to want to basically distance herself from you or become more guarded towards you. And when that happens, it's like she starts to close off or just leave you. But she'll start to not feel as safe when you lose your temper so easily. And when that's the case, she feels like she can't share things with you. And when she can't share things with you, that really violates the 3 C's of masculinity, one of them being closed. And so when she's closed off to him, because when that's the case, it's like he doesn't feel like he's being successful. And I cover 3 C's of masculinity, 3 U's of femininity, and some other principles on negotiation. I said negotiation, but I meant communication. All in the fundamentals right there that you can get for free in the description below. Other ones are paid, same link. He questions how much I'd been talking to this guy, so he's basically displaying fearful behavior. Honest answer is that he occasionally reaches out about once a month to discuss TV shows we had in common, and I politely respond. My boyfriend is now furious. Horrible response to do. That's the worst thing you could do in that situation. She's coming to you in an act of loyalty to you, and you're coming in a place of basically just losing your emotional center and not making her feel safe. This guy didn't recognize the situation for what was actually her intent, and that's a big communication issue that he just had, and that's going to cause a lot of problems. Furious with me and considering ending things over this. It's like, dude, you got to interpret it in the reality of what she's actually doing. Instead, he should have said, I really appreciate you coming to me and saying that. I acknowledge that it's a sign that that you really care about me, because it's like otherwise you wouldn't have even brought it up. And so thank you for doing that. And then you say something like, well, how do you want me to respond to that? You want me to just ignore it, or do you want me to call this guy up and tell him to stop contacting you? And that'd be a much more appropriate and much more mature and much more strategic way to handle this, instead of just blowing up because you don't know what to do. His perspective is that he just last week told me that an ex was entertaining men who clearly were into her, and so he's looking at other things where he's insecure. Yeah. And now he didn't want to feel disrespected that way again. That's like, dude, take it as a compliment. If guys are coming on to your girl, know that you have a good girl, So it's like, and know and have that certainty and that self-value that that she's coming home with you, or that she's with you and she's loyal to you. And her behavior right now is really displaying that loyalty, even though the guy doesn't see it. Yeah. I'll end it right there. So if you want to improve your communication skills and not get yourself, maybe you're watching this video because it's like this situation applies to you. If you want to basically turn your life around and know how to navigate situations like this, again, the products are in the description below.